My first contact with the great man was in February 1976, and it was one of the three blows in my life that implied that this contemptible world of music, which was the mid-70s, was about to be blown away. The first of those intimations was the Patti Smith album Horses, released in Britain that January. The third was a Sex Pistols tape sent me by Howard Trafford, as he was then called, later Howard Devoto. But between that, because NME had announced that I was going to have my own music show on television, I got a brown Wilton packaging cardboard LP packer, and inside it was a battered record sleeve of the New York Dolls. No vinyl, just the sleeve, and then this, I'm pretty sure it was a typed letter or a handwritten letter from a 14-year-old schoolboy saying, "Dear Mr. Wilson, so pleased that you have a TV show. Can we have more groups like this, please? Yours, Stephen Morrissey," in brackets, age 14. So this schoolboy from Stretford had sent me a battered New York Dolls album. And to be honest, I had no idea who the New York Dolls were. I did not know they were managed by the man Malcolm McLaren, who 3 months later, dressed in black leather, I was to meet. But that came from Morrissey. Pretty soon, the whole punk thing took off in Manchester in a very, very special way. Although punk came from London, it was as if, and if you read John Savage's book, England's Dreaming, the great book about the period, it actually says that Manchester became the punk city. And we had the Buzzcocks, and you had the Fall, and you had the social scene at the Ranch, and this wonderful club, the Electric Circus, which I always think is more important than my club, the Hacienda. And hanging out as part of that scene was this strange sort of, he wasn't a specky kid, but he looked like the odd kid from the corner of the class. And he was part of the scene. And this was the young Stephen Morrissey. And from the very beginning, he had the aura of genius. Without any doubt at all, I was extremely interested in him. I presumed he would be a playwright or a novelist. He would be our great literary genius. And I had no doubt about his genius. But when in 1980 he rang me up and said, "Tony, will you come and see me? I want to tell you something." And I went round to his mum's house in Kings Road, Stratford, and sat rather uncomfortably late afternoon in this teenager's bedroom surrounded by, I think it was posters of James Dean. He announced to me he'd decided he was going to become a pop star. And I looked at this kid and I almost had to stop myself laughing, because although I was in love with his genius and he could see it in his eyes, there was no way on God's earth this strange kid was ever going to be a pop star. I almost laughed in his face, but was very polite and said, "Oh, Stephen, very interesting, thank you very much." And a few weeks later, my friend Richard Boone, who was a friend of Stephen's and was the manager of the Buzzcocks, said to me, "What did I think?" And I went, "I think he's mad. I think he's completely insane. He should be a novelist. He's going to be our great writer. Pop star, you must be joking." And a few months after that, Richard took me to a small basement nightclub called Manhattan or something in Spring Gardens, Manchester. And it was either the second or third gig. And to do me justice, having almost laughed in his face, as we walked out, Richard said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I can't believe how wrong I was. He's amazing, it's amazing, an amazing band." So the first time I saw him on stage, I realized, but when in his bedroom he announced me he was going to be a pop star, it seemed to me that this strange intellectual kid was never in a million light years going to be a pop star, particularly looking at the pictures of James Dean around his wall.